You are about to listen to I, Enoch, Sky Tripper, a new translation of the book of 1st Enoch, translated from the Ethiopic and the Hebrew ancient documents into Hebraic English. The book, with complete annotation, glossary, and notes, is available from me by request at www.yahad.me. This is a true names translation, not an old translation with Hebraic names parsed in. This is the translation preferred by Steve Quayle and published by Steve Quayle. This audiobook is published by Jackson Snyder, copyright 2020, all rights reserved. 1 Enoch 11. In those days I will open the storage tanks of blessing in the Shamayim to pour them down on Haaretz for the work and labor of the Yeladim Ha'am. Emet and Shalom will be bound together throughout all the days of the world and throughout all the Mishpakot Ladam. Amen. Dream vision. Intercession for Malachim. 1 Enoch 12. Before these things, Enoch was hidden, and not one of the Benim Am knew where, or where he lived, or what had become of him, for his concern was with the Urim, and his days were with the Kadoshim. I, Enoch, was blessing Yahweh's majesty, even the Melech Haolam, and Hine, the Urim, called me Enoch the reporter, and said to me, Enoch, reporter for the Shamayim, go. Declare to the Shamayim Urim who have abandoned the heights, separating the timeless realm, and have defiled themselves with women, doing as the Yeladim Am, and taking wives. Listen, you have caused great destruction on Haaretz, so you will have no shalom, no forgiveness. Since they so delight in their issue, they will witness their beloved executed and lament over their destruction. They will implore the Olam Haba, but to no chesed nor shalom will they be granted. 1 Enoch 13. So Enoch went forth and disclosed, Azazel, you will have no shalom. A severe sentence has gone forth against you, to put you in chains, and you will not be tolerated nor have any request granted to you because of the lawlessness you have taught, and because of all the devious, illegal, immoral behavior as you have displayed to the Benim Am. Then I went and spoke to the Urim altogether. They were all afraid. Fear and trembling seized them. They begged me to draw up a petition for them so they might be granted forgiveness, that I might read it in the presence of Yahweh of the heights. For from there on they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to the Shamayim because of their shameful crimes for which they had been condemned. Still, I wrote out their petition and the prayer about their ruachim and their individual deeds, and their other requests, that they should have forgiveness and long life. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, southwest of Armon. I read their petition until I fell asleep. And Hine, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me, and I saw Mishpat Hazon, and a voice bid me tell the dream to the Yeladim of Shamayim to warn them. When I awoke, I went to them, and they were all gathered together, weeping in a Velsiel, their faces covered. I recounted to them all the visions that I had seen in my sleep, and I began to speak words of Shama and reprimand to the Urim who left the Shamayim. 1 Enoch 14. And this is the book of the words of Zedekiah and of the reprimand of the eternal Urim in accordance with the command of the Kodesh Shaddai of that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now tell with the tongue of flesh and my mouth's breath, that El Shaddai has given the tongue to converse and the heart to understand. And he has created and given to humankind the power to recognize Chachma's word. So he also has created me and given me the power of rebuking the Urim of the Shamayim Yeladim. And I told them, I wrote out your petition. And in my vision, it appeared that your petition would not be granted to you all the days of timelessness, and the judgment has finally been passed upon you. No, your petition will not be granted to you. and from now on you will not ascend into the Shamayim. The decree has gone forth that you will be imprisoned in the ground to bind you for all the world's days. You will see the destruction of your beloved offspring, and you will have no pleasure in them, but they will fall before you by the sword. Your petition on their behalf will not be granted, nor your own petition, even though you weep, pray, and recite all the words contained in my written decree. This is the vision shown me. Clouds invited me. A mist summoned me. The chorus of the stars and the lightning sped past and hastened me. The Ruachim made me fly, lifting me upward, bearing me into the Shamayim. I ascended up until I neared a wall built of crystals and surrounded by fiery flames. It all began to terrify me. I went into the fiery flames and neared a large house built of crystals. The house walls and the floors were like a mosaic of crystals. Its fountain was also crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of stars and lightning, and between them were fiery cherubim, and the Shamayim were as waters. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its doorways blazed with fire. I entered into that house. It was as hot as fire and as cold as ice. There were no delights of life inside. Fear covered me. Trembling got a hold of me. As I quaked and trembled, I fell on my face. I saw another vision. In Hina, there was a second house, greater than the other, and the door stood open before me, built entirely of flames of fire. In every respect, this house so excelled in splendor, magnificence, and size that I cannot describe to you its majesty and area. Its floor was of fire. Above it was lightning in the pathway of the stars. Its ceiling was flaming fire as well. I looked and saw a high throne in there. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels as the blazing sun. And there was a vision of cherubim. And beneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look there. The Kavod HaGadol sat there, and his clothing shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the Malakim could enter. They could not behold his face because of his magnificence and radiance. Neither could any flesh stand up to look at him. The flaming fire was around and about him, and a great fire stood before him. None could get near him. And though 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counsel. The Kadoshim, near to him, did not leave by night nor depart from him. Until then, I had been face down, trembling, and Yahweh called me with his own mouth. He said to me, "Come closer, Enoch, and hear my word." Then one of the Kadoshim came to me and awakened me. He made me arise, and we approached the door together, and I bowed my face. 1 Enoch 15. He answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, "Fear not, Enoch, you who are a Zadik and reporter of obedience. Approach and hear my voice. Then go, say to the Shamaya Irim, those who have sent you to intercede for them. You should intercede for people and not people for you. Why have you left the high separated and timeless Shamayim to lie with women, to defile yourselves with the daughters of Adam, to take yourself wives? Why have you imitated the Benim Am and procreated ogres as sons? Since you are high, multidimensional, living the timeless life, why have you defiled yourself with the blood of women? Why have you intermingled with the dumb bazar, like the Yeladim Ha'am? Why have you lusted after body and blood, as do those who die and vanish? I have given men wives, so they might infuse them and conceive children by them, so nothing might be lacking for them on the earth. You were formerly Ruachim, living the timeless life and immortal. Unlike all the families of the world, I have not appointed wives for you. As for the Shemaiah Ruachim, in the Shemaiah is to be their dwelling. And now these monsters who are formed from Ruach and Basar will be called Ruachim Hara on the earth, and on the earth will their abode be. Ruachim Hara have proceeded from their bodies because they are born from the Bnei Adam and from Irim. The latter were to be separate. But now, their beginnings and primal origins are mixed. Therefore, they will be Ruachim Hara on the earth, and evil spirits will they be called. As for the Shemaya Ruachim, they will stay in the Shamayim. But as for the land-bound Ruachim, those born on the earth, the land will be their abode. These monstrous Ruachim will afflict, oppress, havoc, attack, do battle, ruin, and work destruction upon the whole world. Though Ruachim Hara need no food, yet they will still hunger and thirst mightily, and they offend. These Ruachim will always rise up against the Yeladim Ha'am, and especially against the women, because they proceeded from them. 1 Enoch 16. Ever since the days of slaughter, destruction, and death of these ogres, their Ruachim left their Nepheshim and Basarim to destroy with impunity. They will destroy until the age and day of the great judgment's conclusion, the judgment of the Irim and the unbelieving alike. Yes, they will be wholly consumed. And now, Yahweh continued, as for the Irim who sent you to intercede for them, those who had inhabited the Shamayim, I say, you have been in the Shamayim, all right, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you. You only know what was worthless. In the stiffness of your hearts, you have only made known to these women what is of no account. And through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on the earth. So say to them, you will never have shalom. Trippin, earth and Sheol. 1 Enoch 17. Then they carried me to a place where the inhabitants were like flaming fire. When they wished, they appeared as men. They brought me to the place of darkness and to a mountain. The apex reached to the Shemaiah. I saw the places of the great lights and the star treasuries, and those of thunder, even in the depths. All that lightning like a fiery bow with arrows in the quiver, or fiery sword. They took me to the living waters, and to the fire of the west that receives every setting sun. I came to a river of fire. The fire flows like water and discharges itself into the great sea toward the west. I saw great rivers, and came to the great river, into the great darkness, and into the place where no person may walk. I saw the mountains of winter's darkness, and where all the deep waters flow. I saw all the mouths of all the rivers of earth, even the mouth of the deep. 1 Enoch 18. I saw the treasuries of the Ruachim. I saw how he furnished the whole creation, and the firm foundations of the earth with them. I saw the earth's cornerstone. I saw the 4 Ruachim that bear the earth, waters, and Shamayim. I saw how the Ruachim stretch out the Shemaiah vaults, and have their station between Shemaiah and Haaretz. These are the Shemaiah pillars. I saw the Shemaiah Ruachim that turn and bring the circles of the sun and all the stars to their setting. I saw the Ruachim upon the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the Malachim. I saw at land's end the firmament of the Shamayim above. I proceeded and saw a place that burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 toward the east, 3 toward the south. Those toward the east were of colored stone, 1 of pearl, 1 of jacinth, and those toward the south were of red stone. But the middle mountain reached to the Shamayim like Elohim's throne of alabaster, and the apex of the throne was a sapphire. I saw a flaming fire. Beyond these mountains is the end of the whole world. There the heavens were complete. I saw a deep abyss with columns of Shamayim's fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, where these were beyond measure, and all alike to the height depth. Beyond that abyss, I saw a place that had no firm arch of Shamayim above, and no firmly founded land beneath it. There was no water on it, and no birds. It was a wasted and horrible place. And I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains. And the Malach said to me, once I had inquired regarding them, this place is the end of Shamayim and Haaretz. It has become a prison for the stars and all the Shamayim-bound host. The stars that roll over in the fire have contravened the commandment of Yahweh since the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. He was wroth with them and bound them until their guilt should be completed for 10,000 years. 1 Enoch 19. Oh, then Uriel said to me, here will stand the Melachim who have joined with women. Their Ruachim, assuming many different shapes, are defiling to humankind, and will lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here they stay until the day of the great judgment. They will endure punishing until their lives are finished. The women of the Melachim who went astray will become as jackals. I, Enoch, I alone saw the vision of the end, and no one will see as I have seen. Names of the 7 Kadosh Malachim. 1 Enoch 20. These are the names of the Kadosh Malachim who watch. Uriel, one of the Kadosh Malachim, who is over the world and over Tartarus. Raphael, one of the Kadosh Malachim, who is over the Ruachim of the Benimon. Raguel, one of the Kadosh Malachim, who takes vengeance on the world of celebrities. Michael, one of the Kadosh Malachim, is set over the best part of the Benim Am and over chaos. Serakael, one of the Kadosh Malachim, who is set over the Ruachim who commit spiritual kata. Gavriel, one of the Kadosh Malachim, who is over paradise, serpents, and cherubim. Remiel, one of the Kadosh Malachim, whom Elohim set over those who arise.